Gosh, just like what's the worst is feeling forced to do something you don't really want to do. For many of us, that could even be going to work every day, right? Or interacting with a particular person you have to interact with every day. Like, there's all these times, all these instances in which our body, parts of us anyway, really don't want to do something. Maybe we know it's in our best interest, but we really don't want to do it, but we push ourselves to do it anyways. And that can cause a flight response where our body wants to run, right? And there's a lot of other things that can cause a flight response too, right? The same sympathetic energy that we have when we want to fight, sometimes that's actually just wants to be expressed as flight energy, right? That energy is interchangeable. Like, you can have a fight response, but your body can also release it as a flight response. It can move around, right? The body's dynamic, right? There's a lot more to say on that. But again, what I want you to kind of recognize, or what I want you to really be clear about, is that when our body perceives some kind of threat, and it could be even just doing something it doesn't want to do, it can have a flight response, a wanting to run. And there's a number of ways for you to release your flight response. One really good one is just to actually visualize yourself running away from the situation and feel how that feels. And if you want to bring it in a little bit more physical, we'll do that. But before we do, I want you to recognize that anxiety can be a flight response. Low back pain can be a flight response, like where that flight energy mobilizes, but then it gets stuck, it gets frozen because of trauma. That can be a flight response. So the flight response gets mobilized when we perceive that something is not our choice, or we're wanting to get away from some person, place, thing, or situation. It could even be ourselves. Like, we can dissociate as somewhat of a flight response. You can see that as a flight thing. We're getting away, right? So it can get a little nuanced there with dissociation. The flight response can also look like anxiety. It can actually get stuck physically sometimes and cause us pain, most commonly in the lower back. Like, that bound flight energy can get stuck there, causing us lower pain, like the body wanted to run but hasn't. And so that energy is stayed stuck there. It's locked there and causing issues. And of course, there's many other symptoms of kind of frozen flight energy in our body. And there's even, like, a lot of times there's all these medical diagnoses that are really obscure, or people can't get a medical diagnosis when it really feels like there's something wrong. A lot of times that can be like the fight or flight energy locked in your body. It's a very real thing. And I know because I've seen a lot of people that have had the obscure autoimmune things, and they do the system, or the system I teach in the course, the full course anyways, and they feel much better, especially working the developmental stuff, attachment stuff. They start to feel much, much better. The symptoms are alleviated. It's amazing, truly. Let's get into it. Let's get into the tool right after this, okay? It's really best to practice this flight response when you're feeling the impulse to flee, when you're feeling the impulse to run. Try to notice where that impulse is coming from, maybe where in your body, and try to let that impulse grow into the flight, into the running. Right? That's the real magic. That's the real profoundness that can happen. That can even be more healing. I'm just doing tools, but I'm telling you a bit more about how you can actually get to deeper healing as well. So you feel the impulse for the flight, and then you let the body express that energy from that impulse. That impulse to run, the part of you that's wanting to run, holds the energy of the frozen flight response, and then you let it run, right? And that can regulate your nervous system. Absolutely, you let yourself run, and then you feel the down-regulating, right? Resting, down-regulating your nervous system. Again, that's the most important part. And so I'll tell you, and then I'll demonstrate this, and you'll have to see my feet actually to demonstrate this. But so what you want to do is feel the impulse to run, or even if you have a fight response, and that energy is stuck there, and you're not comfortable with fight, you can't discharge it there, you can actually probably get it out doing the flight response. And so one way to do that is to simply pedal your feet. So raise your calves, raise your calf, raise your calf, raise your calf, right? Push your toes down as if you're springing off, right? That's the thing. Toe down, and then your heel comes down, push the toe, heel comes down, push the toe, and you alternate like this, just like you're running. It's that rhythm, that bilateral stimulation. It can be so much of a reason that EMDR is effective, because it's this bilateral stimulation, right? This natural body rhythm bilateral stimulation could explain a lot of EMDR. And so if you've heard of that, EMDR, the eye movement, rapid desensitization. Anyway, so you pedal your feet up and down, right? And what you can do is start to develop the nuance of feel the pedaling, even engaging your psoas, right? Engaging here, let me try to show you here. Your psoas are right here, right? And they run down into pelvis here, down, connect back in there. Your glutes, connect all the way back down in there. And when you're running, it actually engages your psoas. Your psoas are like a spring. So as you're doing the pedaling, you actually want to try to feel your lower abdomen. It's usually the cue I give, because feeling the psoas can be kind of hard. But so feel the lower abdomen. See if you can engage the lower abdomen as you pedal. I'm doing it right now as I'm standing up. You can do it sitting down. You can do it standing up. You can do it in the airplane. People that have anxiety in the airplane, it often really helps. So let me show you what it looks like on my feet here. So let me see. So if you can see this, looks like this. And then I'm engaging my abdomen. Right? You can do this. You can be seated or you can stand. It works a little easier to stand. Okay? It's that simple. I'll do it front on too. Or like I said, you can also just kind of imagine doing it too, and you can get some release a lot of times through there. And then if that's too complicated, honestly, you could just run in place and get the similar expression, but it might not have the nuance. And these nuances are important for healing, so things don't resurface, they don't come back. But running in place is a basic good strategy on how to do it as well. So last little thing here about the flight response, releasing the flight response. It's mostly about letting, again, like the fight, let your body deactivate. Right? Feel the settling in your nervous system. Feel those body sensation. That could be muscles relaxing. It could be energy moving around. But feel that settling. I hope that you find that as helpful as so many other people do. And I'll see you in the next video.